Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Monday. Well, as you know, we record this in the mornings on a Monday, and it's pretty chilly out there. Hoodie weather is what I call it. You're looking well in your hoodie, Tommy. I'm not sure if I'm looking well in mine. Declan, you've got a jacket on, cold weather, and that was the team at Shelbourne Park on Saturday night. It was pretty cold, and Bogger Hunter heated up proceedings because he emerged a good winner of the Paddy Kehoe Suspended Seedings Gold Cup. Again, I'm joined by the exiled dub Tommy Lyons, and of course Declan O'Donoghue, always here after the big finals in Dublin to give us his thoughts on the matter. Declan, it was another great occasion in Shelbourne Park the weekend. Big crowds, huge crowd on Friday night in particular, but also a big crowd on Saturday night for the feature, the Gold Cup, and we had a tremendous winner.
We had, and a tremendous race, in fairness. Admittedly, only 3 of them counted from early, and then only 2 of them counted. But what a race it was! You would have thought, coming out of the third bend, Bogger Hunter had it wrapped up, but Ratdown Molly came back for more, and then Stream of Sydney came through with her usual strong finish. She missed the kick a bit, and I often think for an inside runner, if you don't break in 525 and trap 1 in Shelbourne, you're in big trouble because they come across you, you're in traffic. And you're really hoping them for them to drift wide down the back straight to get back in at that stage. She did come strongly, but the winner was the best dog on the night, no question. I couldn't understand the prices. Bogger Hunter 9-1, Ratdown 5-1. I would have both them much, much shorter, I must say. But, it was a great final. The best dog won on the night, but the runner-up and third ran great races also.
Yeah, I have to admit, Bogger Hunter 9-1. I made himself in disco pants in around the sort of 6-1 mark, and Rathdon Molly perhaps a bit short about the 7-2 mark. Stream of Sydney was very short at 6-5. Tommy, for a bitch that while she led the previous round, she'd normally be seen as a strong running bitch, and it's very hard to win these 5-2 yard finals from off the pace.
Yeah, I think they were close to 2-1 joint favourites. I think early in the week, were they? Herself and Born Warrior. Now, we did say last week we thought that they'd take a chance on Born Warrior. I see he returned 3-1, which is perfectly fair because that was the one that could have divided opinion. You thought he had a chance. You thought he was okay. Maybe he's not ready to win yet. You picked your side and you went with it. If you were with Born Warrior, you were getting a grand price of 3-1. Yeah, like Stream Sydney was short at 6-5. I presume it was down to support.
I think there was something else as well in it. Now, it was never mentioned to me afterwards, but I really think, and I very, very, very rarely would use this word, certainly in Irish racing. I'm going to say bias. I do believe there was a slight bias towards the inside of the track on the night. Just most of the races won for the inside. The dogs that did win from the outside, like the other Kobe won from 4, but that's because he's diving to the left. McNeil was sort of arrived late in the scene from trap 5, and Ballyhimmock and Leo in the final race won from trap 6. But like that, he's edging in everywhere, and he had to come from off the pace. Nothing from the outside really made an impression to the corner. When you consider the likes of Roxhome, Duke, and Crafty Bonanza were out in trap 6, Declan, just seemed to me that nothing was going up that strongly from the outside.
Possibly, yeah. And there's a lot of 5-2-5 races. The thing with Stream of Sydney, though, was she broke in front the previous week. She's a fantastic greyhound. But I thought people assuming she'd break it in front again over 5-2-5 were being a bit optimistic about that, especially with the 2 on her immediate outside. They were asking a lot of her. 6-5 was short. She's an outstanding greyhound, but she's more a 550 runner, I would have thought, I thought I fancied Ratdown Molly to win it. I couldn't believe the price she was. But again, you go back to it, it's on the night, as we know, 5-2-5 finals in Shelbourne. If you're behind going around that first bend, no matter how good a finish you are, you have a lot of work to do. But for some reason, on the night, the inside runners were favourites, certainly.
Yeah. There was especially a patch, just the last sort of 1.5 to 2 feet of the sand, it just looked that bit more sort of heavy, loose compared to the rest of it. I don't know. Maybe we did mention there was a cold snap in Dublin, and maybe just being easy on the track in case temperatures really did drop. But Tommy, let's talk about the race itself. Bogger Hunter. There was one thing we knew: he had to produce his best start to win on this contest, and he did. He took an absolute flyer from trap 3. Now, he failed to contain Rathdon Molly into the opening corner, but you get to a big race, and you get your dog doing 2:02 to the opening line, or to the first line. You've done your job, and thereafter it's in the lap of the gods whether the dog is in good enough form to make use of it. Now, Rathdon Molly showed tremendous early speed up the inside to go to the front, but Bogger Hunter, while he made no impression on Rathdon Molly last week, this week in the final, he really did show his back straight pace, and that's what he's famed for.
Yeah, maybe the track was a good bit tougher because I think Rat Down Molly ran her race. She didn't give up at any stage. She showed great heart. She tracked very well. She was actually so close to Bogger Hunter off the last bend that she was forced to kind of almost move off a bit more than she normally would. She was on his tail, and then she kind of got carried out a little bit and then went back inside. I thought she ran her heart out, but Bogger Hunter, like, it's got to be a huge performance, not just to be able to lead them, but to lose that lead and then come back by Rat Down Molly. We talked about sectionals last week, and they mightn't be reflected in the final because conditions of the track, but to be able to come by Rat Down Molly down to third bend is a huge effort. Huge effort. Like, I'd take, if she checked up at the first bend and he got a clear run down the back, I'd take like 2.5, 3 lengths off the clock of the Bogger Hunter. I'd upgrade that performance a little bit. Like, there's so many facets to the final, but like, there's only one statistic that Bogger Hunter won it, like, and he deserved to win it on the night. I thought it was a fabulous display.
Yeah, Declan, Ian Riley is a name we have got so used to over the last 20, 25 years winning big competitions, but it had been a while in the wilderness. Now, that was a much down to Ian in a sense where he didn't have as many dogs on the ground. And he'd said in his interview on Racing Post TV the other night that during lockdown and with Billy of that age, he said, well, sure, why don't we have another go at it when things lift up again? And here we are. Now, it helps when you have Simon Sinek and Brendan Kehoe in your corner, two of the most prolific owners and men that aren't afraid to put their hand in their pocket. They've had great success in the UK especially, but they've also had plenty of success on this side of the water with the likes of Droopy's Cal and others. It was great to see Ian back in the big time.
Very much so, very much so. I think he kind of have took a break at some stage, and a lot of the trainers, Dolores Root has done that, I know, and Patrick Guilfoyle on a couple of occasions took a break for different reasons from the game. So maybe it doesn't do them any harm to freshen things up a bit. But he is back on the scene. He won the last 2 races on Friday night, so he's out there clearly in form. And Bogger Hunter is a very, very good dog on his night. There's no doubt about that. And he was the best out of the night. And the sectional, interesting enough, was the best section of the night was 2:02, which was serious going,
Yeah. Born Warrior was on the outside. He broke reasonably well. He broke better than the semi-final. Just didn't quite happen for him on the night. As I said, the outside just seemed to be running that little bit slower. That's just one of those things that happens every now and again. But Born Warrior, Jennifer stated a couple of times in interviews over the last week or two that he is a dog that just needs work. She said he's absolutely vocal. He wants to get at it. You would imagine that these 4 runs through the Gold Cup will have him spot on. And a return to the 550 run up for the Easter Cup, I assume that's the route they're going to go down, should really suit him. Declan's just having a rest there. Oh, go ahead, Declan. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. 550 will suit him, but you would still like to see a tiny bit more spark from than we've seen in the last few weeks compared to last season. Perhaps it'll come back. Some dogs are better at different times of the year. As you say, it has been a bit chilly lately, but he's still a serious hound. Of course, he is.
Yeah, Tommy, the same question to yourself.
I think the final performance was a carbon copy of the semi-final, and maybe. Obviously what Jennifer's saying is right. So the 2 runs back after a long break I thought they were really good. I thought the first 2 runs were really good. And maybe they just took a little bit of a toll as well. If the dog takes a good bit of getting fit and maybe he's not fit, if the less fit you are, the more a run will take it out of you. And like the Greyhound, so they're chasing hard. He's chasing hard. You don't win a derby unless you are. He tried his heart out in the first 2 rounds. Probably left a little bit of a mark on him. We knew it's why we talked about it and spent a nice bit of time last week talking about the price of Born Warrior for the final. We said on his 3 runs previous in this competition, you'd make him a 9-2 chance. And on his Derby form, you'd make him an odds-on chance. So you're kind of trying to find out where he was at the moment. I think we kind of all kind of guessed it right that he wasn't. He just isn't at the same place. But I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm happy that we'll have a dog that could be a Derby contender or an Easter Cup contender first, and then a Champion Stakes or Derby contender down the line. I'm happy where he is. I'm sure connections probably are. Yes, it'd be lovely to pick up a pot like that, but like, where else can a Greyhound like him start off? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? If you're ready to start if you want to start your season as early as this, where else can you start off? So I'd be perfectly happy. I wouldn't be writing him off or thinking, yes, Declan's right. The same spark isn't there yet, but I saw enough in the first 2 rounds to think that the Derby winner is still in there.
Incredibly, incredibly, the first time he's ever finished out of the first three, Declan. And he was there pitching into the opening corner off the second bend, even he was still pitching. So like the sparkle is more than there. The fact of the matter is, I don't know an awful lot about training greyhounds, but I can only imagine that the guts of a 3-week break now ahead of the Easter Cup is perfect. They'll probably give him an easy week and then start work up again. He'll be plenty of gallops and he'll be ready to rock in the Easter Cup.
Absolutely, and the longer run to the bend will certainly suit him. Like he was off, I think he was off since the Derby final. So some of them do need a bit of racing, get their eye in again, get working, and he'd pick up as the year goes on. He's still a very serious hound, and by Derby time he'll be right back in it. And indeed, he could feature in the Easter Cup. I would think big time.
Let's go through the first for you. Let's start with Bogger Hunter. Tommy, Ian Riley suggested after the race, and he's probably right. He's not the strongest greyhound. He's all down the back straight now. The early speed is developing. He's getting better and better as regards that. He was talking about maybe Dundalk, and while there will be dogs that outpace him into the opening corner, if he's anywhere off them at the second bend, he will absolutely relish the long run home. It's probably not a bad call rather than the 550 at Shelbourne. Try and pick his way through. I don't know whether it'll go to the Easter Cup or not, but I can see the logic in his choice.
Yeah, I can see the logic in it, but now he'll know more about it than I do. But like when we talk about 525 dogs going 550 and getting away with it because they don't have to stay as much, we assume they're going to be in front. At the moment, I don't think the Bogger Hunter is going to lead every night. That's not the way I see him when I look at him in a race. I don't say, geez, Bogger Hunter is going to lead this company. You don't. Maybe he will, and maybe like 202 is a serious sectional. But like then you go to the sprint and you say, okay, there's a really long run which is a help. But like, do they really come back when they're doing probably 2090 or 2080?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
2020, did it really come back that much? I don't know. Now, like Ian Riley is an exceptional trainer. We saw that many times over the years. So he'll know what he has and he'll know where he can improve that dog. So if he thinks he can improve him and get him coming out of traps all the time, he'll step up to 550 and take a chance. If he thinks that, okay, this is what the dog is, this is a dog who can break but won't always break, but we know he stays forever and will give like what he showed down the back passing Rathdown Molly the other night. I wouldn't take that lightly. I'd read a lot into that. That's a huge effort. So that's the type of thing that's what he'll have to show in the straight in Dundalk. So yes, I can understand the logic. Plus, he doesn't want to bottom a dog. If he thinks it doesn't stay 550, he definitely doesn't want to bottom that dog by running them over 550.
Yeah, the fact that Rathdown Molly's coming back at him, don't get me wrong, she stays the 525 yards well, Declan, but the fact that she's coming back at him would be probably indicative that he doesn't really fully get the 550 yards or will get the 550 yards. Although he did hint its potential that he goes to Toaster. Obviously, Ian Riley has won the English Derby in the past with Droopy Skulls, owned by, obviously Brendan Kehoe is very much an Irishman, but Simon Sinek is an Englishman, and they're both based in the UK. 8 times the owners of the year in the UK. So they'll be keen to have another one in their Derby team, perhaps. Could we see him in Toaster, I wonder?
It's certainly. He's a good. They've won a big pot already with him now this season. So they're under no pressure, and it's an interesting debate. Would he get 550 here? I wouldn't take away from Rathdown Molly coming back. They didn't do each other any favors during the race. At the first bend, he may have pushed her in a little bit. She lost a bit of ground there. I would think Rathdown Molly will get the 550 the race on, but whether he would or not, I don't know. But equally, I would think 400 Dundalk would be a big ask for him too at the top level.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Let's talk about Rathdown Molly. She ran an unbelievable race in second for Bill Mulholland and Mary Gilbert. I was talking to Desi Skippy ahead of racing, and he says, I think I had a finalist, and I went back through it. He spoke about the first year, 1998, the inaugural running of the Gold Cup. He had Brickfield Rebel, who was beaten his short head by Real Branch. It's no wonder he sort of blanked it out, beating his short head. And here we are, 25 years later, the 25th running since, the 25th running of the Gold Cup. Of course, it should be 26, but we had that one year where the strike was on. But Rathdown Molly running a big race, and again a runner-up in the Gold Cup. You could go the Easter Cup route with her, but you'd imagine the Oaks would be her target, Declan.
Of course. You can go for both because she clearly loves her racing. She runs most certain nights anyway. So I mean, it's all there for her. She should have a fantastic season.
Yeah, she looks an Oaks type bitch, Tommy. She has that lovely early speed. She has the pace to compete against the boys. It'd be an obvious enough target.
Yeah, it has to be for her, and you have to go there quite optimistic. Even though the Gold Cup, like the classics that come along in Shelbourne Park, will get better and better as the season goes on and more dogs emerge, and we've seen that even in the card the other night. Greyhounds coming back out again. The competition will get stronger, but so will she. She'll get better too. So when the best bitches are out, she'll be right there amongst them.
Yeah. Stream of Sydney was back in third. She ran a remarkable race. Declan, you alluded to it earlier on. She absolutely hammered home. Pat Buckley has shown in the past that like the likes of Sing Along Susie, Bobsleigh Dream, like these could turn up anywhere. Like this bitch could run over 4. She can run over 525, 550 up to 600. She has any amount of choices. Like she's an October 20, so the Kirby's not in her radar. Actually, we may never mention the Kirby as a potential for Rathdown Molly, but Stream of Sydney, you'd imagine if she has another 525-yard competition this year, it'll be the Oaks. But outside of that, she could go anywhere that she wanted.
Yeah, she'd be a strong contender in the Sport and Press Irish Oaks, but it is 525 and 550 is their game. So she's going to be big in the Derby, I would think, and Champion Stakes for sure. And of course, I don't think Paddy's going for the English Derby this year, so we'll see plenty of her in Shelbourne during the season for sure.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. Tommy, if she was yours, where would you go?
Yeah, I would look at. She's entitled if she wants to go to the Oaks, obviously, but I would be concerned that they're like by the time we get to the Oaks, there will be really sharp bitches in the competition. Like the other night, she went from 208 to 213. She took a little step to the right out of traps. Nobody was surprised by that. Because she was a little bit slower from traps than she had been in the previous rounds, she was on the back end of Rathdown Molly, which caused her to check up. She went up then and hit the rails at the first bend, which is completely out of character as far as I can see. Hit the rails, cost herself all chance, and she's only beaten a length and a half. Like she's phenomenally fast. She's doing that over 525. What does she do over 550? I mean, I'll look at. She's entitled to go for the Oaks if that's what she wants to do, but I'd be expecting her best results to be over 550 later in the year. Wouldn't be surprised if she was a ledger contender.
Yeah, I think she's probably more a 575, 600-yard bitch. I do find that sometimes these strong running bitches get a little bit lost into the 550 corner, and then they're trying to pick up stronger greyhounds, per se. So, listen, I've no doubt she'll be a contender in the likes of the Derby and Ledgers and stuff like that. But I don't see her flashing out and leading too often over that trip because it's an extra 25 yards into the corner, and dogs with the real early speed will probably flank her and get around her, and there you're just worried that she'll lose more ground and whatnot. But I think you'll see massive runs throughout the year from her, and with a bit of luck, maybe like Bobsleigh Dream, it came right for her. But you got to remember, like she won the Ledger coming from 8 lengths off the pace, and who's to say Stream of Sydney couldn't do something similar? Because that's the way it's going to end up going down the road. I can't see her leading around the corner in the Ledger too often, but yeah, she's remarkably fast and she's remarkably strong. Again, I'd love to see her over 600 yards in the near future, and who knows, maybe down the line she could be a six bender. Who knows? The rest of the card, there was some quality racing. Sorry, just before we leave it there, Disco Pants, it just didn't happen for him or Clona Blue, Declan, but Disco Pants can certainly and Clona Blue, they could both exit this competition with their head held high. Disco Pants perhaps ran his final in the semi-finals, a big run on that occasion, just didn't happen from the other night.
He's been a revelation. He's been very, very good. He's an outstanding greyhound. And I'd say Kevin and Clona Blue, he just can't wait to go up and trip with Clona Blue. You'd
imagine the Shelbourne Open 600 is the natural step for him.
Yeah. That's where he'll be on for sure. Yeah.
Tommy?
Yeah, had every chance the other night. Was in front of Stream of Sydney, very marginally in front of Stream of Sydney, and Disco Pants going to the first bend. And got a little bit outpaced by Stream of Sydney down the back. No shame in that. Stayed on again. Never looked dangerous, but at the same time wasn't beaten that far.
Yeah,
in the classic final.
Yeah, there wasn't an awful lot between them. From first to last, it was, it was tight enough. Like the length to half, 2 half, 1.5. Like the ground lost by them was just racing ground. It wasn't. They weren't completely outpaced at any one point. They were just 6 fast greyhounds. And as you said, like we were speaking about Clona Blue last week, about 25-1. Like he finished 4th in front of Born Warrior and Disco Pants. So certainly beaten only 3.5 lengths. Ran very well indeed. The remainder of the card. There was some quality action, of course, Tommy. It was on Racing Post Greyhound television. A couple of noteworthy runs. The other Kobe, it didn't happen from trap 5 in the opening round of the Gold Cup. It happened from trap 4, though, in the 9th race on the card. Flashed out, just showed all his real brute speed. And while he looked threatened off the last bend, his stride does seem to shorten. But while it is shortening, he doesn't seem to lose an awful lot of ground up the home straight. It's not pretty from the home bend to the line, but he's still covering the ground.
Still think if you were on him, I think you knew you were safe anyway. You kept up looking, Bacchus butted in behind. Rahamolfo just didn't happen for him. The other Kobe ran a really professional race. The only concern was the draw, getting out and getting across and getting a little bit of a run early. But once he did that, I thought the race was over early. I thought it was a smashing effort. Yeah,
Declan, when he gets on, when he gets a start, he's arguably as fast as any 5.25-yard dog in the country.
He is, and I don't think that the draw makes much difference to him at all. To be honest with you, he ran very well, and it's the second dog, Crypto Punk. I mean, he's fantastic. I think he was Derby consolation winner, Laurel's consolation winner. Loves Shelbourne. That was his first run back. He ran a cracker as well. So those are two to have on your side going forward for certain.
There's some talented ones behind them too. Raha Mofo didn't happen for her around the opening 2 bends. Bacchus buds it straight on well, which, that seems to be more. He's a strong running greyhound more than an early pace greyhound these days. Much better to come from them. I just want to quickly mention the 8th race in the card. It was won by Ravens Jet, who was left in front in the opening corner. Romeo Hanzo ran straight off the bend, lost all sorts of ground. My God, Declan, he made up some ground, that Romeo Hanzo.
He did, and you're talking about dogs running well from the inside. That was the other one I backed all night. But he did, yeah. He ran a cracker for sure. You'd still see them inside, wouldn't you? It looked just one of those things, Forest Willow is running extremely well in second, and a very good run by the winner. And once got in front, he was going to stay there, Yeah,
he was. Yeah.
Pearl Crafty Bonanza got no run at all with all the first bench shenanigans. But Romeo Hansa is a good dog for sure. Yeah,
I'm sure he'll be Kirby bound. He's one I'll certainly be keeping an eye on in the opening round. See how he handles the place. I think he probably is an inside runner, but it was just one of those things. Maybe he got squeezed up and just decided. Right turn, Clive. On to the 10th race in the card, and this was a brilliant performance by Bacchus Crystal and Declan. We've already known she's a very, very talented lady. She sharpened up for her return last week when she won from the other Artumica Wild in 29.72. On this occasion, she broke fast, led all 29.67 on a track that was running slower than 7 days earlier. She just looked a thorough professional. Big run in second by Romeo Magico. The pace is still there. He absolutely tore down the back straight. Obviously, Bacchus Crystal kicked again from the final turn. But again, Romeo Magico, while he'll be 4 in August, it's clear he's still every bit as fast as he was.
They both are outstanding. I think Bacchus Crystal is one of the best greyhounds in the country at the moment. And I'm not totally sure if she does need. Is she completely an inside runner? I'm not sure on that. But she's pace. She's fast. She stays. Possibly 5.25 would catch her out a bit, but anything from 5.50 up, she is outstanding. As you say, Romeo Magical ran a fine race in second, and he's going to be a big player this year too. And Toolmaker Wild in third, always runs his race, and so that was a hot race, a very hot race, and a very hot winner.
Yeah, certainly hot winner. I'm not sure any draw will be a concern for her, but just when she's in against when she's in against the very top greyhounds, she'll probably need an inside draw to get around. Tommy Bacchus Crystal, we spoke about her before. Just another one of these superstar ladies that could be there all year.
Yeah, I think she probably does need the inside box to get around. I think it's not that that is the concern. Like her sections, if you look at them, her early sectional, the first sectional in a lot of her races over different trips, it's not exceptional. But it looks good though. It looks good every night when you watch her. I thought that was a brilliant display by the front too, because Romeo Magico showed ridiculous pace down to the third bend. You kind of knew it was going to flatten out, or it had to flatten out to some degree. You just knew it had to. That he just couldn't keep going at what he tried to do. He's chasing a top class bitch. She did everything right. The market suggested she'd do everything right too. Everybody seemed to want to be behind her. I think on the exchanges and everywhere she was heavily backed. And there wasn't the moments worthy, but it was just nice to see Romeo Magico show what he did. I mean, he was never a danger in the race, I don't think. I never felt at any stage he was going to get there. but I love what he showed as well in defeat.
Oh yeah, listen, as a comeback run, it doesn't get much better. Showed loads of pace. Attitude's still there, still an absolute fluent monster when he gets going. Bocco's Crystal, though, is a big player in the likes of the Easter Cup. You know, I'm sure that's where the front three will be going, in fact, and add in the likes of, you know, Born Warrior. And I see Swords Rex trialed once again at Shelbourne Park on Friday night. He's trialing okay. You know, it's all shaping up that it's going to be pretty hot come March 18th when the Easter Cup starts. Just want to finish off at Shelbourne Park with Declan, Ballyhimmock and Leo. One from the outside, which was no easy task on the night. Got held up badly around the first and second bends. Took off actually into the corner after a slow start. Got held up. Took off down the back straight. Stayed on well. He's a January 21 whelp, so he does qualify for the Kirby. This... you know, he's always been on my radar as a nice, strong running greyhound. I just was really taken by it. I feel there's another step in him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was a real challenger for major honours later in the year. Declan, sorry.
I thought, to me, he's an outstanding 575 dog, you know, but he could be anything. Like, he's still only a novice. That was only his 11th, 12th race, you know.
Yeah, 12th
and
race,
he's improving. He's improving all the time. He's a middle seed, which I don't. You know, he should be a wide seed in Shelbourne, definitely. But he's a very, very good dog.
Well, he sort of raced up on the outside into the corner, but then he was looking in. Yeah, he was looking in. I wouldn't have him out in 6 personally, to be honest. I'd love to see him in 3 or 4. Tommy, what were your thoughts on it?
I think he is middle seed. Well, I think he's a middle running dog. Whether sometimes if you have enough early pace from a wide seed, it's if you're enough early pace, it's grand to be a wide seed because you can probably take the position you want. I don't know he's that wide. Even if I watched him track, I was quite impressed with the way he tracked the last bend, and he definitely wasn't tracking it wide. He was tracking it kind of middle, but like he's maybe what he needs to brush up on is his trapping. I mean, he was staying on in that 575 final in Cork behind Scaglietti and Magical Mary. Like, they're 2 seriously fast dogs, and Scaglietti got out in front and stays forever. Magical Mary is top class, and he was running on strongly behind them. The other night he tracked particularly well. He didn't pick up tremendously well off the last bend, but he kind of
he's strong. He had reached,
he had reached his kind of his pace. And it was enough to pick up the one in front. But I like this tracker. I think he can improve as well. I think he's a nice dog.
Yeah, I think if he was running a 575 or 600, I'd keep I'd put a W on him maybe, because as you say, if he does miss the kick slightly, he's less likely to get crossing. You know, dogs crossing around him, he can run up around the outside, and I think that's what he'd do. But I think 525, 550, I'd certainly be keeping him towards the middle of the track. But certainly a dog to keep an eye on. Billy and John Dunn, they always seem to unleash one. They always seem to have one about them. And this fellow, out by their own stud dog, Ballyhimmock and Jet, who's made a very bright start to his stud career. Looks a really exciting prospect, and only 12 starts, but 6 wins on his card. Let's switch attention to the Juvenile Classic, because it's red hot, Tommy. We saw obviously the likes of Ballymac Walton and Rye Hope Beach, sensational 28-12s in the opening round. Ballymac Walt suffered defeat in the second round, sort of summing up where the competition is. There's so much pace in it. Rye Hope Beach was the standout, again 28-12, but each of the 4 heat winners just looked very, very impressive. I was actually speaking to Pat Buckley last week. The opening heat went to Teresa's Mendoza. Speaking to him last week about the bitch in Limerick, the one on debut by a distance. And I said, you must thought like you had a decent one that you didn't send her to Tralee, or you're not sending her to Newbridge. He said, well, we have one in Tralee anyway. And I think it's Teresa's Mendoza. Safe to say, she broke reasonably well. She paced up to get up the inside of Ballymac Walt on the corner, went to the front, never looked in threat thereafter, ran right to the line to win in 28-34. She's very, very exciting. Another potential superstar lady. Ballymac Walt lost nothing in defeat, and Our Mystery, another one for Pat Buckley, showed all sorts of pace to grab second in the closing yards. Tommy, it was a red hot heat.
I love that heat for not for the specific result. It doesn't really matter. Apart from the fact that I think we had 3 serious greyhounds, first, second, and third. I mean, the fact that Teresa Mendoza was able to hold the line, hold her position against Ballymac Walt early, and get around and use that inside position to get around in front, that set up the race. But Our Mystery ran a superb race in defeat. And in fairness to Ballymac Walt, he didn't wilt at any stage. In fact, I'd say he was staying on again at the line. I mean, like, you tell me which one is going to improve most. I don't know. But I know if one of them improves a small bit, it'll be a serious contender in all top class competition throughout the year. That is just as good a heat as you'll get anywhere. Mightn't have been the quickest heat on the night, but by God, there's 3 good greyhounds.
Yeah, Declan, did you get a glimpse of it?
Yeah, I would think what Tom says there is correct. All 3 of them are going to be very, very good going forward, and it's impossible to know at this stage which of them will prove best, even in this competition. But even in the longer term, there are 3 lovely, lovely prospects.
Yeah, this competition reminds me of Aidan O'Brien going for the Epsom Derby. And people say, oh, when he is 2, well, they must be very good. But when he is 8, they must all be middling. Now, there are 8 dogs you could take out of this competition tomorrow and think these are going to be superstars. Now, they're either all going to be superstars or none of them are going to be superstars. But for me, I would err on the side that they're all very, very good. I think it's packed with quality. We've been hearing whispers for weeks and months about dogs going to Tralee, and it's bearing fruit. There's some really, really serious talented in it. Onto the second heat, where Ballymacmarino, one of those talented ones, edging off an inside line to the middle of the track, but held a narrow lead into the opening corner, sort of ended the claims of Beeper's Lariat by just holding him up into the corner. He was badly balked in the second bend by Droopy's one stop. The 2 of them ran into each other, ended their chances. But Dramana Boy, a big eye catcher in second. Tommy, you had mentioned him off air earlier on. Ballymacmarino, but firstly, a very good winner, the son of Vulturi, 28-32, 14-31 down to the third. Dramana Boy in second, and back in third was Saline Ollie. You like the first 2?
Oh, you would like the first 2 a lot. I mean, the second one, Dramana Boy, would have challenged the winner a lot further. I would have been right up sides maybe without having found a little bit of trouble. But you love the way the winner strolled off the last bend and up the straight. I mean, you're thinking 550, this is going to be a machine in 6 months down the line. Quite likely it is. I mean, watch it to the escape is going further and further clear. I mean, that's a huge performance. I like Dramana Boy. I think he's going to improve. He improves his trapping a little bit. And
he ran a remarkable bend, Tommy. Went around the outside as if he was like Scalextrics. He actually, the way it worked out, there were almost 2 greyhounds in his way, and not including the winner, there were almost 2 greyhounds in his way. The way he tracked it was, he did get held up a little bit, but the way he tracked it for such an inexperienced greyhound, it was a joy to watch. That's why I say in a cleanly run race, if there was just a 2-dog race, he'd have been upsides. Ballymacmarino would have won the race, but he'd have been at least upsides, and it would have been a fantastic spectacle. As it was, he came away with reputation enhanced. But the winner didn't even go off favourite in the heat, because of Droopy's one stop, who didn't really show as much the other night. But you can forgive that. Things didn't work out. Whatever. These are very young greyhounds, very little experience. There might be something that we might even have spotted who'll come out and be a bit of a star later on in the year. So I'd forget about that. I wouldn't worry about it. But I do think the winner was a little bit underestimated after a big first round performance, and might even be after this. I think this was exceptional. I absolutely loved. If you just fast forward the video to the crown in the last 2 bends and just watch it from there, it's just joyous. That's a proper greyhound. Yeah, galloping machine. Declan, he's owned by the Met and the Halfway Syndicate, who always have one floating around with Liam Dowling. I'd say when Liam picks up the phone, they don't even hesitate. Yep, he's on our radar. We'll buy him, because they've owned some fast dogs with Liam, and this is potentially as fast as any they've ever had before.
It is, but I'd also agree with what Tommy said about the one-stop dog. I mean, there's going to be dogs going out in the early rounds of this competition that with age and experience could be outstanding greyhounds. So it's very early yet. I do like to see Vulturi getting nice early paces, because they stay forever, like himself. There's no doubt about that. So that's very, very promising. And Liam just has where he gets all these dogs from every year. I've no idea. It's some conveyor belt he has down there.
Imagine taking a tour with Liam. And he's telling you the God's honest truth. Yeah, he's a fly machine. 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 And it's track and field, of course. It's unbelievable.
I hadn't fully realised how much involved he was in the coursing on this year. Obviously, it was pretty obvious, but he's certainly some operator on the track. But he's amazing consistency. It's just every month there seems to be outstanding dogs emerging down there. It's just unreal, you know.
Yeah, big weekend for the Dowlings, of course. Shane got married on Saturday married into Hennessy clan. There's some pedigree there. There's some pressure on that progeny. Best of luck to them in their future lives. Yeah. Hopefully, it was a great weekend for all involved. Don't know if they're going on honeymoon just yet. The Irish Cup was finishing, and the Easter Cup starts in a couple of weeks' time, but maybe they'll delay it till the summer. You never know. Let's go on to Heat 3 because the next one was won by a dog called Laddie Da, trained by a certain that's right, Liam Dowling, and similar to Ballymac Marino. Tommy, this fellow really galloped home strongly again.
Yeah, it seemed to was slow enough away and took the full length of the straight to kind of get to the front or to even on the bend. Wasn't that? I mean, there's nothing in it in the times. I wasn't as blown away by that as I was by Ballymac Marino. But that's again, it goes back to what Declan and I were saying already. They're going to improve a good bit. I mean, I think I get the impression that the runner up is quite highly thought of, and never looked like laying a glove on the one in front.
No, but showed loads of pace. Did show loads of pace.
Yeah, I
quite liked him now, I must say.
Yeah, I know. No, not right. None of these off. This is a proper stake. Like, I mean, a lot of stakes will wither away for no reason because a little bit of trouble in around, you lose a couple of good greyhounds, and all of a sudden you've got a final with two good dogs. We've got
that ain't happening here.
Well, we've got semi-finals that are going to be. I actually haven't seen the draw. Is the draw made even? I haven't seen the draw yet. But I'm looking forward to seeing what way it's after falling because it's a fabulous stake. It really is. It's just a pity it's not on a Saturday night.
Yeah. The final is on the Saturday. I'm not sure why it wasn't on Saturday this week. It was Saturday last week. It was Friday this week, and the finals on the Saturday. So, I don't know. Maybe there was something on. It's down for Saturday, March 11th.
Yeah,
it might have been Kerry playing.
Kerry were playing in Tralee last Saturday, weren't they?
Yeah, but sure, you win nothing in February. You know what I mean? The Kerry know that more than anyone. Declan, the Laddie Da, not an easy one to commentate on. Just sort of get stuck in the end of your tongue a little bit, but he can run. Son of Lenz and Bocco, we've seen a few of them. They're very strong. Is the one thing I've noticed.
There are, yeah, there are a few of them on the scene now, and of course the thing about Tralee form is working out superbly now. We saw with Stream of Sydney and Disco Pants throughout the Gold Cup, and in the first round I think there was 4 or 5 winners came straight from Tralee. So it's a very good track to. For showing you what dogs will do elsewhere in the future. It seems to be a great track for talented young dogs, and there's a load of them in this competition, and he's another one of them for sure.
Yeah. In second was Music Glide Away. Yeah, loads of pace. Good Zeus got squeezed out of the opening corner. I was expecting him to come on greatly for his opening round effort. Just didn't happen with the early traffic. Hot Magic, I thought, ran well on the outside. He was only picked up off the final bend by Musical Glide Away. He finished third, but yeah, another winner for Liam Dowling. The Laddie Da, certainly a greyhound to keep an eye on. And so to the final heat, the only heat, am I right in saying there wasn't one from Trap 1? No, beg your pardon, it was another Trap 4 winner, Teresa Mendoza. And here we have a certain Ryhope Beach, trained by Michael O'Donoghue and Alison Banderack. This son of Droopy Sydney, Declan, really does look the real deal. Just broke reasonably well, showed fine early speed, and it's relentless thereafter. He flies down the back, he's staying right to the line. He again clocks 28-12. He just looks a proper greyhound.
He's a top dog from a top kennel. He really is, and in his own right, to me, he was the most impressive winner. Just something about him. He just has something. And again, I haven't seen the semi-final draw, but that is some competition already. It's going to take something special to win it.
Yeah, he beats Good Maestro by 7 lengths. Okay, be it there was traffic on the opening corner, and Good Maestro was involved, but slipped around then on the outside. But Tommy, he put 7 lengths between himself and his rivals. Just at the moment, doesn't seem a weakness.
He went from 312 to 304.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculously fast for a dog on its second start. Like he just looks machine-like. Good Maestro ran a cracking race, but this is all about one dog. This like it's can't find fault in the way he tracked. He went middle to wide down the back. You'd expect that if you're in front, you expect to naturally track that way. Came in plenty early enough to run a good line. I mean, what more can you say about a dog that does that? Didn't give away much off the last bend. It was wide at the line, but that's coursing the Greyhound, coursing the hare. I mean, it's about as perfect a performance you get out of a pup that age, at that stage of competition, in that level of company as well. And that's the key. He's up against good dogs. He's just leaving them behind. I know that the runner-up looks like a dog we could be talking about in reaching the latter stages of stake finals in months and even years to come. Good Maestro. I think he looks a real good dog to me. I mean, I don't know where. You just wonder, when a dog is as perfect as Right Hope Beach has been in his first two starts, where can he go? Can he be the dog that breaks 28 seconds 3-4 weeks in a row above in Shelbourne Park? Can he be a dog that sets new standards? You know, we haven't had something like that since Paradise Madison was breaking 28 seconds for sport one time. Because I think we're going that way eventually. We're not that far away from it either. But maybe this is the dog to kind of to shepherd us into the next era.
Yeah, I dare say he might have a task in Limerick first before then. Of course, he has to compete in Tralee until the end as well. He's owned by Alison Banderack. Alison and Mike Banderack, of course, had Dramana Bucco there a couple of years ago. Such a sad end to his racing career so early. You think, you'll never replace a Greyhound like that. They're making a fair fist of it, Declan.
So far, so good. Anyway, certainly, yeah. No. I think Tom is right. You can't improve on that. You just can't. It was second race. It's just hard to believe. But in saying all that, this is a hot competition, so there are no guarantees.
Yeah, no guarantees. 304.
I'm not giving up in Ballymacmarino just yet.
I wouldn't be giving up on too many of them, to be honest. This is red hot. 14-19 to the third bend. Teresa's Mendoza closest with 14-24. But then he is, he's 22 spots faster. So, he's not even stopping. He's just keep going to the line. Just looks like a dog that would run over 550 yards in the morning. Not a bother to him. Obviously very well bred. A half brother to Skywalker Barry. So really talented. Really, really talented.
I think the safest thing to say is that like whichever wins it now will have earned it, because even if he pops out and makes it a boring semi-final and wins and does 28-12 again, does the same in the final, he'll have had to do that, if you know what I mean, because the quality is in behind him. So if he does it, we'll be lauding a great winner. If somebody finds something to beat him, we'll be saying, my God, that's some Greyhound to beat him. So I don't think there's a lose situation in this competition at the moment. They look an exceptional bunch.
Yeah.
Imagine what the Kirby is going to be like.
Oh, look, Kirby, and then in the other end, you'll have the Easter Cup in Shelbourne. Just two competitions that are just going to be out of this world from what I can see, because all the established stars you'd imagine will be going to Shelbourne, all the newcomers will be going to the Kirby, and when the two meet up down the line, is it too early to start talking about the Derby? We're in danger of doing what horse racing does with regards to Cheltenham. Everything's towards the Derby, but in the Kirby and the Easter Cup, we have two absolutely cracking stakes coming up, and some exciting couple of months ahead, boys.
The Easter Cup is like a derby already. Of the dogs that we know are going. I'm sure Liam will bring up quite a few as well. It's just going to be some competition, no doubt about it.
Yeah, Tommy.
Yeah, look, we've talked about it ad nauseum. There's just so much. There's so many good Greyhounds in the country at the moment. Yeah, I'm. How come the draw wasn't made? Is there any?
I think the draw was made. I think it was. I think if you go to the Kingdom Stadium on Twitter, you'll see it. I'm not sure why it's not up. Maybe there was an issue with IT or whatnot. But no, I think the draw was made. I think I glanced through it. Just can't remember. I can't remember it, to be honest. Bear with me 1 second. The draw I have got up here. It's available on the Kingdom Dog Track Twitter feed. The opening heat looks relatively hot. Teresa's Mendoza's in 1, Our Mysteries in 2, Right Hope Beach is in 3, Dramana Boy is in 4, Ballymac Walt is in 5, and 6 is Music Glide Away. So, the well-used cliche, that could be fitting of the final itself. The second semi-final isn't too bad either. Saley and Ollie, Ballymacmarinos in 2, Delady Daz in 3, Ballymac Shark in 4, Good Maestro in 5, and Hot Magic in 6. The opening heat will be the one that will grab the headlines, Tommy. isn't it great to see dogs in their third race in their career facing a test like that?
All I know is Ballymac Marino win the second heat anyway. The first heat, I haven't a clue what's going to win it. It's a smashing heat. I do. I hope Beach will probably win it, let's be honest. He has that. He has everything. He has the early pace. He doesn't have to he's not one of these dogs. What was that dog many years ago? Oh, geez. Just rocketed out of traps every night. He's not one of those absolutely rocketed out of traps.
Clover hair.
Clover hair is exactly the one I'm thinking of. But he's not an absolute rock at the moment. He's not a rocket out traps. He's a clever dog. He's actually finding stride exceptionally quickly, and that's what you want, really, rather than rocketing out. Because if you're one that rockets out every night, you're bound to miss it along the way. He just seems to be a natural at the moment. I know it's only 2 runs, and 2 runs isn't necessarily a sequence of note, but he's just looks so exciting. I mean, I think if he comes out of that with a clear-cut win, like he'll be that shorter price for the final, would be ridiculous. And yet he'll have the likes of Ballymac Marino and probably Good Maestro. Is Good Maestro on 5 in the second heat? I think that will probably qualify too. Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Michael O'Donovan has Coulivan Hoffa still in his kennel. Not a bad team. Declan, if I assume Tommy Ryhope Beach would be your choice for outright glory.
Yeah. Well, Ballymac Marino, I like as well. I'd like to see the final draw before, and I hope they both get into it, but see the draw before I commit to it.
Declan, are you going to commit to something?
I think the last heat winner,
Ryhope Beach,
yeah. I mean the sections as well. Like what your eyes tell you is important, but what the clock tells you is equally, and he's got it every way. But listen, it's a hot race. He will still have to do everything right.
Yeah, he certainly will. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. We have the remainder of the Juvenile Classic to look forward to, of course, sponsored by Greyhound and Petrol, continued sponsors. Thank you for their work. And I think they're being rewarded with an unbelievable competition. We've seen a tremendous winner of the Paddy Kehoe Suspended Ceilings Gold Cup in Bogger Hunter. We look forward to seeing where he turns up next. No doubt plenty of those in behind will be in the Easter Cup. Whether Bogger Hunter's there, well, we'll soon find out. But that's it from us on this Monday evening. My thanks once again to the exiled dub, Tommy Lyons, and of course, a non-exiled dub, Declan O'Donoghue. We'll see you very soon. Good night, good luck, God bless.